Up next, we have Neil Fairweather, who's Group Account Director with Latitude Digital Marketing. He's going to be speaking on your ad copy is out of date and you're paying the price. Right, over to you, Neil.
Thanks very much. Hopefully everyone's refueled. I recommend the hot dogs. They were free. After obviously working at Latitude for over 9 years now, I've been working in the e-gaming space for about 8 years, but also working across retail, travel and finance. Certainly from taking learnings from a lot of these conferences that I've been to, speaking on SEO, speaking on display, PPC is becoming a bit more apparent for affiliates. It's certainly becoming more important as a channel. The trackable nature of it as a channel is certainly helping. But also the issues with SEO at the moment with regards to penalisation, and obviously Facebook are being a bit more rigid within their policy as to restricting a lot of affiliates. So it's certainly becoming an increasing channel. So what I wanted to focus on today is how do we make PPC or refine PPC to make it more efficient and cost effective for affiliates. Many of you guys utilising PPC at the moment? Hands up if you're utilising PPC at the moment. Oh, great. So there is certainly affiliates in the room that are obviously utilising it. Hopefully this gives you a bit of a flavour as to how you may be able to refine some of your PPC ad text and campaigns through scripts that have very much come a significant importance in this sector, but also across the spectrum. CPCs across paid search, I mean, just for live roulette in its own stance is over £100 a click. So you can realise the efficiencies that are needed to deliver a profitable player when you're paying that sort of cost per click. And one mistake on paid search can certainly cost you if you're not bidding accordingly, if you're not adjusting your ad copy, and also if you're not being timely with your ad text. So, okay. Okay, today's agenda, just to start off, a little prize for anyone that can tell me what the picture is depicting for one of the races. It's not a big prize, so don't get too excited. But does anyone know what that's depicting from a recent racing event? Really important. A lot of bookmakers breathed a sigh of relief, and I imagine some affiliates breathed a sigh of relief when he went down. Anyone know the horse that went down? Come on. It's Annie Power. Yeah, Annie Power went down in the Irish, where the Irish were kind of crossing their fingers. The bookmakers had their sniper rifle out, and he fell at the last hurdle, where people were on a fourfold accumulator, like myself, were not bitter. But certainly from our perspective, it's an integral moment. It's something that we'll talk about later on in the presentation, just to give you a guide as to how you can manage your campaigns and make sure impacts of such incidents you can avoid within your ad text and your campaigns. So we're going to look at an introduction to the parameter or the script, if you like, that comes into play for PPC and how you write those scripts. The current script landscape, to take you through a bit of an example as to how they're currently being utilised, who's utilising them to a certain degree. We've given mock-up examples. We're not trying to name and shame, but we'll give you a good overview there. Give you some example and results. I think you guys want to see how is this possible, but also what are the results from doing these sorts of things. And finally, just a bit of the future. What does it hold for paid search in the landscape and for you guys as affiliates, and how can you utilise that? So if I just give you a bit of an overview, I mean, the main thing is that these scripts have a massive impact, and we've already tested a lot of these and made award submissions for some of our clients. One of the examples here is a huge increase in click-through rate. What you're looking to obviously achieve is creating a point of difference to the other users within that landscape so that you get the click-through rate. Well, these scripts and this real-time ad copy is delivering huge, significant proportions of increase in click-through rate. I mean, 666% is not something to be sniffed at. So certainly within the script, connotations on the images, but I'll let you work that one out. certainly an introduction to the parameters itself. There's a focus on the kind of monetary element, but also things like temperature that we'll take you through as well, just as to how you can utilize these scripts. How they can automatically change based on optimizations, so using a data source to refine your optimization and continually refine those throughout your campaign management. But also allowing more effective management of resource and budget. And you guys, your resources, the time itself it takes you to implement campaigns, etc. You want to create efficiency so you can run them at scale. You're looking at different territories, you're looking at different markets, you're looking at different products. It's important that you're managing your budget accordingly, but also your resource. So just to give you a bit of an idea on the Google AdWords interface, I mean, you can see, skip back a bit, sorry. You can see there, so within the bulk operations, there's the scripts section. So you can already source scripts from that section within AdWords that are freely available, and certainly recommend you having a look at those. There's examples here just on the bottom here. This is actually a weather script that we've been utilizing. So we'll take you through how that kind of works there. So it's for a retail client, or a lot of retail clients are utilizing it from a, when the weather changes, and you can take feeds from a weather source or a freely available weather source, feed that into a script, and dynamically create an advert that is bespoke to products. So if it's raining, you're going to want a coat. So certainly from our retail clients, they're utilizing it more effectively, but the gaming clients are just doing it as so, which I'll tell you later on. So just evolving that weather script a little bit further, bit of a confusing slide to a certain degree, but it just shows you the parameters that you can control there. So you control the brand name, so whether it be a Stone Island Parker jacket or whether it may be, you insert the parameter within the ad text there. But this is also utilizing a script. These are the temperatures. This is the timing. So you can also implement free delivery. So you can implement 2 scripts within these ad texts to refine that. So it gives you a sense of urgency to say that you've got 2 hours left for free delivery, so people are more intent to then click on the advert. But it also gives you a tailored ad copy that is based around the location of the weather for that day. What you do have to do is, obviously in that purposes, you have to make sure you've got generic ad copy that can replace those adverts if it's not relevant. So if you find that temperature or certain temperatures lead to poorer results, you want to pause that ad copy and you want to move to a more generic ad copy. These scripts allow you to do that. So the importance of the analysis of that data and how it's performing is critical. I mean, these are just some examples of scripts. I've got Chris Taylor with me as well, so if anyone wants to talk about the specifics of scripts or ideas that they've got as to whether they can be implemented, myself and Chris can take you through that later on. The importance as well is about A/B testing. Certainly be selective in your testing. Don't try to do too many things at once, and make sure that when you're analysing those results, you're able to interpret them effectively with the data and the analysis and the analytics tools that you've got in place. Now this is a slide that gives you an idea of it's actually a GIF, so it'll give you an idea of when it's changing throughout the day. So what you've got here is you've got mega jackpots. So it actually dynamically inserts the jackpot as it's progressing. So you can take a feed of a jackpot and insert it. So during the day, you don't want to be positioned highly because you know that effectively casino players are coming through late at night or early evening. So you've got an effective way that you position yourself lower during the day. During rainy times, so you'll see there's a cloud with rain and the night time, you effectively push your bids, but you're also inserting that kind of dynamic element where it says rainy day. I'll just show you when it comes round. See when it comes round, so play online, so that's in there you go, so you've got jackpots there. And then rainy day, so it's raining outside. You're recognizing to the user that it's a rainy day, come and play. So it's just about utilizing your scripts and your ad text to better enable you to click through on those ads. So it's just an animated element. Oops. So what results does this have from an impact perspective? It's a significant element that you see there. So from the tests that we've done already, 108% increase in conversions, 14% decrease in CPCs. These things matter and these things have an impact. Efficiency is everything for you guys, driving some point of difference against your competitors, but also against the bookmakers, recognizing elements that you can improve your performance accordingly. Okay, so it's about I mentioned about the resource and your timings, etc. What these scripts can do as well is they can alert you. So you can set up scripts to alert you if performance dips below a certain level. So when quality score or when performance is dropping below a predefined level, you can set an alert for you to then obviously go and look at those scripts and refine them and make adjustments. So they're sorts of alerts that you get. We've also got kind of within our own business a quality assurance process whereby we review those scripts and we look at better ways to implement them and change them over the course of the week or the month. It also automatically pauses, and this is something we'll come on to a bit later on. When your site experiences downtime, there's nothing worse than you still spending when no one can get through to your site. You have a script or an opportunity for a script to pause any campaigns that you're running on paid search when the site's not live. It recognizes, it pings your site, and it recognizes it's down, pauses the ads. So again, you don't have any wasted budget. Fantastic. And also ensuring that the basic compounds, but also the fundamentals are obviously delivered. And it's about building that on scale. I mentioned that you guys are probably looking at different territories, different markets, different products. You need to do that on scale. These scripts allow you to do it on scale. From a native language perspective, from a territory perspective, and they're the types of things that we're testing at the moment. So what's the current landscape look like? So we've done a bit of an analysis into the current landscape and looked at ways in which these can be improved. So the current landscape, we'll take you through some examples and solutions, a step-by-step example of the live feeds and how they're fitted into advertising currently, and results in comparison to static advertising, so how it looks compared to some of the static advertising currently taking place. So this is just an example of when Murray beat Ferrer in the French, I think it was the French Open. Certainly from our perspective, you can see here that one of the bookmakers is still on Ferrer versus Murray when he's just already booked his place with Djokovic in the next round. I think it's the semi-final. Whereas this advertiser is already onto it and already is understanding, based on the feed, they're already understanding that the next game or the next odds or the next market is already live. So it's recognizing that you don't have to position yourself in first because people will already realize that that's an old ad. So people are more likely to click on the second ad, and therefore it creates efficiencies. You're not paying as much for that click. So you're positioning yourself second to an epic fail from the top advertiser. So it's smart bidding as well. The advertiser obviously in position 2 gets a lower CPC. Okay, this is another example. Always a fail-safe. You come around to Cheltenham and some guys have still got 2013 ads going live. I promised I wouldn't name any names, so I haven't. But they're still having this, and this is where you can utilize scripts again to make sure you put what we call a wildcard within the script, so that it recognizes anything that says Cheltenham 2013, 2014, whatever the case may be. It doesn't include it. So even here, you make sure that you've got 2015 into the ad text. So again, you can take a lower position, lower CPC, and you're more likely to get the click-through rate because it's dynamic and it's true. So it's just about setting the rules, utilizing wildcards. Chris can take you through the technical implementation of that, but certainly we're seeing great success. So this, I'll bring you back to the Annie Power. Apologies, you didn't realise which horse it was depicting. I'll have a word with our design team. But between the end of Annie Power actually falling at the last hurdle, how many advertisers do you think paused their Annie Power ad copy? Any thoughts? One. So only one person paused their ad copy in time, in real time, to obviously effectively make use of what was going to be a huge search demand for people going mental on Google, trying to find out what happened, who shot him. And literally the search market goes mental. Those clicks and those searches are not what you want. You don't want those clicks at all. They're not relevant. They're trying to find out what happened. They're trying to find the latest news. They're trying to find out how much they've lost. You don't want to be paying per click on that ad. Okay, so just again, what we do is we monitor again how clients and campaigns utilize after the event, how long it takes them to come off. It's up to 2 hours for some of them to come off. Obviously, the impact is significant in cost. People are wasting their money. Search volumes increased, and they're just wasting their money. So from our perspective, we've got Fergie there with his Fergie time. No one really passed the test of the Fergie time. They added 3 minutes, they added 5 minutes that he always gets. No one passed the test in actually pausing in time or in real time. You know, only one operator actually passed the Fergie time test, which is that 3-5 minutes afterwards. There was still only one advertiser that paused. So certainly from your perspective, it's just understanding that kind of orchestration as to how you can create efficiencies. So why is it important? Certainly from our perspective, we tried to give you an example of how this could work. So on the left-hand side, over there, you've got a game, Man United versus Arsenal. You've got an ad there which is very generic. So we called them generic sports, and we called these Latitude sports. You've got the dynamic odds working there. So get 6-4 for United to beat Arsenal. Bet in play, odds updated. So we can actually timestamp. And we can do that within 2 minutes. 20 seconds, sorry. Apologies, even better. So we can do that within 20 seconds to timestamp that 20 seconds. So it's constantly updating and constantly being refined. So obviously it's 0-0. I hate to show this though, for anyone that's not a Man United fan. Rooney's just scored. Oh dear. Not good for Liverpool, but there you go. 5-4, the odds have gone down. So at this point you're thinking, okay, so the odds aren't that great, but it's still 5-4 for United to beat Arsenal now, and now it's 1-0. This ad here hasn't changed in any way, shape or form. Oh dear, Rooney scored again. But what you've got now is you can see that the markets have been realised that there's no real market for Man United to win. It looks like they're going to win. So what we then look to is Rooney's obviously scored. It's 3-1 now for Rooney to get his hat-trick. And it also says that he's actually had 3 hat-tricks this season. So it's recognising a dynamic way of inserting a price, but also an opportunity for you to improve the ad text to get that click-through. Still the same. Still the same. So trying to bring this to life, it's 89 minutes now, and Rooney has scored his hat-trick. Fantastic. United are 3-0. He's now 3-1 to be top Premier League goal scorer. Again, you're changing that dynamic way that you change the script and you change the parameter to make best use of the market that's most appealing and most relevant to that user to gain that click-through. Once again, hasn't changed. So what happens then? The game's finished. You don't want to then be on talking about the game, etc., because all the news stories start coming in. Whereas they're saying, bet on United to win still. The game's finished. Should be paused. So again, it's creating these scripts and these rules so that your ads do pause in time. So this just gives you a bit of an idea or an understanding as to the figures associated with these different stages. So as you can see from the first image that I showed where it's 0-0, because of the dynamic way and the dynamic odds that we're putting in there and the fact that it's updated at a certain time, you can see that the click-through rate is 50% versus a very generic ad, which is 27%. Now, this is a specific search. You know, you're not going to get huge volumes of clicks. So it's a representative example, but it's nearly double the clicks that you're getting for that specific time of the game. Now, as it goes down, you notice that obviously it's gone down to 5 to 4. Now, our learning here would potentially be to move to another market next time, because 5 to 4 shows that the click-through rate does actually go down from 50 to 42.5, whereas the other ad has actually gone up slightly. So there's an impact there, and there's a learning, and there's an understanding as to how they can be refined over time. Just taking you on to the different connotations again from the different stages. So it's 2-0 now. This is where it really starts to kick in from a click-through rate. You know, you've gone for 3-1. It's a good odd for Rooney to score a hat-trick. He scored 2 already. There's still time to go within the game. 65% click-through. There's still not as many searches in play, but this will grow. This will grow. In-play is a huge market, and certainly from our perspective, it's something that needs to be considered. And click-through rate here has gone right down now to 8.7% and clicks of 3. And then the final score, the last ad there with regards to the 3-1 to be top goal scorer, we're still creating that demand and that impact because we've got dynamic ad text. You know, it's relevant to the user. The user already knows that it's 3-0, they're watching the game. So clicks, nominal clicks, but once again, I can tell you that the in-play stuff is going to get bigger. And the involvement of the users in trying to better those times is going to become much larger. So at the end, again, recreating that kind of element of if you don't pause your ads, you're going to get irrelevant clicks. So this is where their click-through rate goes up to 35%, 45 clicks. They're still talking about bet on United to win. They've already won. No point in being live. Move on. So to give you a bit of an idea from a CPA perspective, just to give you a context. So with generic advertisers staying live and the impact of that, you're looking at around about a £28 cost per funded account that we're looking to deliver from the dynamic ads. And the generics are looking at a £66. Then moving on to it, they paused it automatically at the end of the game. So if they did do what they said they would, they'd still be nowhere near what we were doing. They'd be down at £40. But the difference in that is around about 40% reduction in CPFA. It just shows you the efficiencies that it can drive. And you guys, obviously, from an affiliate perspective, are most interested in trying to drive efficiencies and those lower cost per funded accounts so that you can make those work harder, make more profitable players for your bookmakers. Okay, so just to give you a bit of a run through on some examples, some great results for the England women team. Got to give it a mention. Well done, ladies. Better than the English men. Okay, so how do we adapt to real-time events? So we analyze user behavior. We utilize basic scripts in order to interpret those. And we also utilize an API function. So I'll just take you through a couple of those, really. Just to give you an idea of the type of analysis we do, this is taking it into consideration for the World Cup. So during the World Cup, the impact of kind of the games were being showed at around about 5 p.m. So what we wanted to look at is the casino market and what impact football then has on the casino market and the tie-in with that. So during around about the 5 p.m. games, etc., we noticed that during the kickoff there's a massive uplift in search and performance here and here. And certainly during the comparison that we made week on week during those games, the timing of the games and the finish of the games, you actually saw a symptomatic search increase and surge from demand for casino after the games. So this is where the sports players, after the game, soon become the casino players, and how you dynamically change your ad text in order to accommodate for those. So where you can use site links to try and refer them into your casino. Again, it's mainly for bookmakers, but I think affiliates can make a good use of this as well. But these are the types of things that we do to analyze trends and make decisions on these scripts, just to give you a bit of context. And also just a bit of an impact. There's a lot of advanced future deployments that we're looking at here. This is where we've done it for a retail client, so it's about out of stock. So you don't want to be bidding on things that are out of stock. So we create actual scripts that will pause the ads once the stock is out of stock. And this way, you're not wasting traffic. It works well for gaming as well, but we saw in this instance for a retail client of ours a decrease in cost per sale by 25%. Again, it's those efficiencies that these sorts of scripts can drive for you. And finally, this is something on the jackpot scripts. Certainly making utilization of a live feed of jackpots. Again, these feeds are freely available normally from your bookmakers, etc., in order to orchestrate a better way that you can interpret data and give someone a sense of urgency to click through. So certainly from the API scripts that we've utilized, this is where you kind of see that huge uplift in click-through rate, increase in quality score, because with higher click-through rate, you decrease your CPCs, therefore it becomes more efficient. Less wasted clicks, and that continual testing, that continual improvement, you've got to test those scripts. So what makes people click through? Is it a certain value? Is £500,000 enough? Is £300,000 enough? Is £200,000? So you're constantly testing that to refine it. And then just to give you a bit of an idea on the blue sky thinking, so the types of things that we're already thinking about and ways that we can utilize things. So we can look at live stock market prices. A bit of an interesting one, dynamic one that we can utilize so that when we know that stock prices are a certain level, we can bid a certain way. Could work on the Forex side of things, etc. If anyone's in the Forex game. But certainly from the scripts perspective, it's a great way to kind of utilize dynamic insertion. Recent winners by location. Now, this is an opportunity to really show you if you've got a casino brand or a poker brand or a bingo brand, whatever, you can target by location, you can target a specific advert towards a user in a specific location and tell them if they've had 3 winners in the last month. Again, it resonates with a user, more likely to click through again. So that user is, again, more inclined to click through to you. Just trying to create those ideas and those scripts. There's also freely available BBC RSS feeds and plugins that you can utilize. So it's not just BBC, but you can utilize other plugins to utilize that data, feed that into your scripts, and then dynamically insert those into your ad text. It even matters if you've got timing of events, so you know that the game's going to finish at a certain time, making sure that you can use Google Docs, you can use Excel feeds, you can use whatever you've got. Or a database, you can use those as scripts or utilize those for your scripts. Even if it's timing, etc., you can utilize accordingly. Also, you can find out when the last jackpot paid out. So when did the last jackpot pay out? If you want to insert that, again, it creates that demand. If people know the casino market, they know that, okay, it normally takes a certain process or a certain amount of time for that jackpot to pay out. And then you can create a bit of a demand when that likelihood is high. So key takeaways, Rooney with a takeaway. Certainly from our perspective, the biggest thing for us and for the market is to drive cost-effective performance. But what you do is you must invest in enhancing your engagement with the users. This is where you can improve your click-through rate, etc. The results of that, I've already gone through today, but I'll just give you a bit of a summary. 660% increase in CTR compared to static ad copy. 25% decrease in costs at non-converting times, so you're creating that efficiency there. 37% increase in conversions. These are all great stats and more effective use of resource. So this is about your time, your resource, the amount of time and the efficiencies that you can generate utilizing these scripts. So moving forward with your advertising, it's about adopting a script-focused approach to create those efficiencies in a competitive sector. I gave you an idea that on Google, live roulette can cost well over £100. You need to create efficiencies within this market. If you're bidding on as affiliates, you need to make sure you're utilizing those scripts accordingly to make sure your ads are more effective. You need to make sure you're collecting that data. I think we were talking, there was a talk earlier on with regards to personalization and their focus on personalizing search and utilizing data to make that journey as easy and as more compelling to a consumer as possible. And you've also got to analyze those results and constantly refine. It's not about standing still. There's always things, I even told you in the dynamic stuff, that when we put up there 5-4 odds for Rooney to score, for Man United to win at 2-0, we'll take learnings from that because our CTR actually went down. So we'll make sure that a script is then changed, that if an odds is 5-4 or less, we won't appear on that. We'll utilize another market and we'll feed in another market to that. So we're still always making learnings for that. And just give you a resource suggestion that we've set up just for your perspective. feel free to log your details on there, and we can send you updates on scripts that we're currently working on, etc. Topcat. This is one of Chris's images, so you can get him after that. But Topcat, have a look at that. We can give you some free script ideas and keep you updated on things from that perspective. And that's it. That's me.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Neil? Can't think any of that. Okay, I have a question. Are there any sort of different considerations for utilising these scripts internationally?
There's obviously the compliance aspect. So there's consideration for compliance, but these can be utilised across any country. Obviously, if you've got a license for Google, and you're obviously accredited to bid in those countries, I think the biggest focus for us and what we place a heavy importance of is the native language speakers as well, so that those people that are creating those ad texts are native, so that the ads are compelling as possible, and you're utilising things that are going to resonate in that audience.
What other elements of ad text are important for affiliates and bookmakers to consider as high priority within the PPC approach?
Well, I would say this is probably the most important, the script aspect. Certainly from our perspective is to utilising niche terms, longer tail terms for the affiliates is kind of a key area of growth. You know, Google's obviously Google recommended search, etc., gives you an idea of the types of terms that you can really kind of gain some value from. So I certainly suggest that script is at the forefront now. It's becoming more important, and it'll become more important, especially when the new season starts.
Also, how can these scripts be adapted for other channels within digital?
Yeah, they can. Like I say, from a script perspective and from an understanding of feeding data in, this data can then be portrayed onto your websites. I'm not saying for SEO value, I'm just saying for your content value. So if you can dynamically change your content on your websites, you can utilize these feeds to feed that information into those sites to make them more appealing when people land on them. Again, giving them a jackpot feed, giving them a jackpot countdown, giving them a countdown to something or an offer. You can utilize those feeds into your web pages. And that's probably the other area that I'd consider.
Anybody from the audience? I'm happy to ask. Can we see anyone? Okay, I'm happy to ask another one anyway.
Have you got a question at the back?
Can we see one at the back?
Yes, speak then.
Okay. Got a question?
You'll speak later.
How would you rate this approach in terms of its importance in paid search this year?
I think it's integral. A lot of bookmakers are trying to find ways to utilize it, and I think affiliates are a bit more agile. So I certainly believe that if they can take heed and start to utilize it in their ad copy, I think they can take a lead on what the bookmakers are currently doing.
I've run out. Anybody else in here? Anyway, I'd just like to thank Neil for a really interesting presentation, because it was full of great advice and lots of real-world examples and results, which is great for the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.